When I sing, y'all sing. When she sings, you all sing. So you guys are gonna have to sing louder.
Just everyone sing.
No! I want a collaboration competition. Okay, here we go.
Which room is louder, the left or the right? Okay.
Okay, here we go. Silence.
We're just kidding. It's binaural beats, you won't hear anything.
Subliminal. It's subliminal songs. Here we go.
Woo!
Turn it on. Everybody raise the roof off the joint today. We need your energy. Here we go.
Turn it up.
Woo! Wait a minute. Bring it back. 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 Wait a minute. Woo! Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. When Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. When Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. When Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. There's no limit to what you can do. Yes, it all belongs to you. Yes, it all belongs to you, Lord. You're almighty and all powerful. Yes, it all belongs to you. Yes, it all belongs to you. Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. When Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. When Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. When Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. But I'm not worried about a thing, 'cause I know you are guiding me. Where you lead me, Spirit, I will go. I have no fear, 'cause I know who's in control. There's no limit to what you can do. Yes, it all belongs to you. It all belongs to you. Let you know you're almighty and all powerful. Yes, it all belongs to you. It all belongs to you. Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. When Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. When Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. When Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. When Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. There's no limit to what you can do. It all belongs to you. It all belongs to you. You're almighty, all powerful. It all, yes, it all. You're almighty, all powerful, and it all belongs to you. It all belongs to you. It's so powerful, and it all, yes, it all. Wait a minute. Bring it back. Come on now. Wait a minute. Bring it back. Woo. Wait a minute. Bring it back. Wait a minute. Bring it back. Nobody can say no. When Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. Spirit say yes, nobody can say no. When 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 Spirit say yes, nobody can say no.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Stacy and Janelle. I feel like my voice is not Karen. Is it Karen? There you go. Well, it's my greatest pleasure to introduce our speaker for today. And yeah, I'm not prejudiced at all, but I think my daughter is the most wonderful speaker in the world. She's an author. She is, and she actually does speaking for a living. She's a counselor. She's a life coach. She's just everything. And I just love her to no end. And so if everybody will give a very big hand to Deborah Deras. I love you, Mommy.
Doesn't she have the most loving energy? I'm not prejudiced either. It's going to be a love fest today. Scorpios are leading the service. So I'm just so grateful to be here, not only because it's the week of Thanksgiving, but it's such a wonderful pleasure just to be able to be here and to anchor and trust in God. This week of Thanksgiving is always a reminder to be grateful, right? It's always a reminder to be grateful. But for all of us as practitioners, and I call each and every one of us sitting here as practitioners, because we've dedicated our lives, even if just in this moment, not to live from the world of conditions, effects, fear, thinking, but to live from a place of gratitude. Not just on Thanksgiving, but each and every day. And have any of you, when your alarm goes off in the morning and you hear that ringing, say, oh God, it's time to get up, right? Especially when it's cold in the winter, oh God, right? I wake up every morning to Prince. Prince sings to me on my alarm. So I wake up every morning. Thank God I'm awake, alive, and aligned. You know this, and Al loves it when I say it. TGI, ah. Everybody say it with me. Instead of TGIF, we say TGI, ah. And I say TGI, ah, because every day that I'm awake, that we're awake, aware, and aligned, we can live a life that is free of fear. And I have to tell you, living a life that is free of fear, lack, limitation, worry, scarcity is not something that has come easy for me. Even though I have the most wonderful mother who enrolled me in intuition class when I was 8 years old. What mother does that, right? I'm thinking she's totally crazy or totally a genius, right? But I mean, I was raised around constant love and constant spirituality. Yet, we live in a world of collective consciousness where the fear, lack, limitation is everywhere. But one of the things that I know from doing a lot of studies in spiritual and scientific research is that the positive energy of gratitude outweighs negative energy tenfold. You read the book Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins. You read The Divine Matrix by Dr. Greg Braden, and you will learn the neuroscience behind it. But that fear is this little voice that's in our mind. And you know, those of you that have been here and heard me speak before, you know what I like to call that little voice? Our ego, that is not our ego. Oh, you didn't know? You're new, so you learn. Our ego is not our amigo, right? Our ego is wanting us to stay safe. It's wanting us to stay comfortable in that comfort zone. It wants to know how. So when we're on the spiritual path and we're being asked to trust in divine order and to have faith, how are we going to do that? That's what ego wants to know. It's like, I will do that, but give me the steps. I want to know how to do that because it can seem very overwhelming and daunting. Just in this past 2 weeks, I had 2 friends diagnosed with cancer. One with her breast cancer, went to lung cancer, another one with leukemia, right? But what we know as spiritual practitioners is a diagnosis is not a prognosis. because we know that there is a power and presence that's bigger than that. But when these things happen to us, we get into that place of fear. But when we have a path, we can change that. And one of the things that I created was a pathway for you, and it's called trust. 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 And trust is what I have to do each and every moment of each and every day. I have cliff notes. Ooh la la, I'm upgraded. Because every time I come here, I like to give you an acronym, but then it's in my mind, and some of you are taking notes, but some of you are not, and I don't want it to be in your mind. My intention is it to be installed in your heart, to be infused in your spirit, and that you're able to have this divine download that I received in my meditation as a practice, so that you can operate from a new way of being. How many of you would be willing to have a miraculous moment during this sermon? Anybody? That you would leave here not the same in which you've come. Are you willing to do that? Yeah. Fantastic. Because this is this trust that was downloaded in my meditation. Because when I prepare these sermons, I don't get a piece of paper and a pen and write it down. Because that would be coming from the limitations of my mind. I surrender, I let go, and I ask God to divinely download what you need to hear, what I need to hear. Because I learned more from my own self, from my own sermons than probably any of you here. But the T in trust, because this is the roadmap. This is what the ego wants to know. It's like, you want me to go from fear to faith, but how? That pathway is trust, and the T is for turning it over. When I was in my 20s, I used to spend a lot of time in 12-step programs. I was in every program you can probably guess, right? And in these 12-step programs that are based on spiritual principles, they would always say, we just need to turn it over to God. Because God can do what we cannot do with this addiction. My major addiction, if you don't already know, was adrenaline addiction. When you talk about Debbie Downer, Manana Wana, Louisa the People Pleaser, Dizzy Lizzy, I was all of them, right? And I needed help. And I would go to these 12-step programs, and they would be like, turn it over, because it's thy will, not mine, be done. Because as a former addict, I wanted to be in control. I wanted to, and it's like the ego in our mind that wants to be in control and know exactly how is this relationship going to work out? How is this career situation going to work out? How is this financial situation going to work out? But the bottom line is we don't know how. But when we turn it over to spirit, the power and the presence that's omnipotent, omnipotent, omniactive, that is governing right now, the sky, the moon, the planets, all of that is aligning us, can handle it. And so to be in a place from fear to a place of gratitude, love, and peace, we have to trust. And the first step in trusting is turning it over. So even, and this is something that I love to do as a daily practice, because as human beings, we want to do something, because we think we're human doings. Mm-hmm. And so what I would do, I would have a little God box, and I would take any burden, any limiting belief, any challenge on my heart, and I would write it on a Post-it note, very high tech. And I would put it in this God box, and I would turn it over. I would trust and know that just as you put your donation in the basket, today you could put in any burden that no longer serves you. Anything that's weighing on your head, that's keeping you up at night, or anything that's on your heart, and just let it go. Because when we turn it over, we are knowing that when we say, in God we trust, thy will, not mine, be done, that it's done. But then the ego's going to come back, and it's going to say, but what about this? What about that? And the second letter in trust is resting in thee. And one of the things that whenever I'm in a challenge and I get like anxious, the first thing that happens is my back has pain. Anybody have back pain? Because it's from being tense. It's that anxiety of clenching up because I think that the whole world is on my shoulders. And not only do I need to solve my problems, but I need to cure my friend's cancer, figure out what's going to happen with the elections, and will Marianne Williamson be a good candidate, right? And all of the world on our shoulders, right? But one of the things we learn in this New Thought, Ancient Wisdom practice is we're not resting on our will. We're resting in thee. We're resting in thee. And the mantra that I say to myself that you can take on is God has got your back.
Yes.
God has got your back. Where your children are concerned, where your grandchildren are concerned, where your parents are concerned, God has your back. And literally, because as humans, you want to do something, here's what you could do. You could breathe. You could stand straight. Because when we feel the world is on our shoulders, we clench, we tense. So the opposite of that, because I'm a very practical practitioner. I want steps, I want tools to be able to trust and have faith. When we just stand straighter, hold our head up higher, and breathe. Let's just do it right now. Breathe. Breathe in. Now let go. And rest in thee. Not just in the moment of meditation, but right now, by standing up, having our posture high, our breath full, we're able to rest in the power and the presence that is breathing us. We're not pressing an app and saying, breathe. We're not on, thank goodness, any oxygen and saying, breathe. Seeing my girlfriend, who's only 51 years young, on oxygen, it made me realize how our breath is the breath of life, and how each and every moment we're overflowing with an infinite supply of breath. And we have the capacity to hold our breath and be tense and say, my will. Or we have the capacity to rest in thee. Even if you want to lean back a little bit and know that God has got your back. And know it. And when you know it, you know that the you in trust is unlimited possibilities. Now, my company, for those of you that don't know, is called Synergy Unlimited. If you ever call me, you'll hear my voice now. Hello, you've reached the office of Synergy Unlimited. We believe with the power of synergy, anything is possible. And do you know what synergy is? Synergy is when two or more are gathered, that there is a third presence, God. I don't say that in my corporate, but we know it's God that is allowing miracles to occur. That's my undercover spiritual essence that is infused in my business. That when two or more are gathered and they are having that clear intention, like when we come together for prayer, if you come to me or a practitioner for prayer afterward, we're holding the field for you. We're not holding the field that whatever illness, whatever challenge you have is done. We're holding the field of wholeness. We're holding the field of unlimited abundance. We're holding the field of all that you desire as already done. We're not saying we want to change something, we want to move something. We're in the field of unlimited, infinite possibility. And being in that unlimited space is something that we may not be comfortable with. Because in the world of effects, the world of conditions, circumstances, it's just like, but what about the rent? But what about the relationship? But what about the health issue? But what about the family issue, right? But mediocrity, Dr. Michael Beckwith, who's my mentor, founder of Agape, he always says mediocrity will always challenge excellence, right? It will always challenge excellence because our higher self will be like, but I can do anything and anything is possible. But the lower self, the ego, that's not our ego, will say, but how, but how, but how? We do not need to know how. We need to trust in right now, there is a world that is conspiring for our good. It is conspiring for our good. No matter what it looks like, no matter what it appears. Because on this path, we don't look from the world of appearances. That's looking from eyesight. That is so limited. That is limited to literally what we can see. And our mind is, especially if you're acting from the conscious level, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this all the time, it's only going from what we have experienced in the past or what we perceive we can experience in the future. But when we're operating at the place of unlimited possibilities, guess where we are? The superconscious mind. That's the genius potential. That's Mozart. That's Steve Jobs. That's whoever you consider your genius person. We all have that capacity, that unlimited possibility capacity, but we have to trust. And in order to trust, this is the one that's the hardest for me, we have to surrender. In my book I feel was written through me, not from me, which is why I often refer to it. I'm like, let me read this chapter on the power of surrender. My dad is so funny. He'll always refer me back to my book when I get off track. You need to get in the vortex. There's a wonderful book by Deborah Deras. No, it's serious. Because literally the book was a divine download. It poured through me on the beach in Playa del Rey. I can't take credit for it, but transcribing it. And in my chapter on the power of surrender, I talk about surrender is not waving a white flag and giving up. That's when you're at war. We're not at war. We are living in a world of love, peace, gratitude. Surrender is letting go of the idea that we need to know all the answers. We need to trust that the divine power that governs all creation, that created the planet, that created the world, that is breathing life and the blood through us, knows what to do about that relationship, knows what to do about that job. And I'll give you a really practical example. So as a speaker and a trainer, I am freelance, which means I work for God. I don't have a paycheck. I don't have somebody that gives me money on a consistent basis. It's just like, I'm free as a spirit to work when I want, where I want. But what happens in December is many companies aren't working the last 2 weeks. In fact, the last 3 weeks and the first week of January. So I have a whole month, usually, every year with no work. 16 years into my business, I'm kind of seeing the pattern. I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm seeing a pattern here. My mom's like that. So in November, I started praying and surrendering, right? I started praying, and when I pray, and you guys can do this if you want to as well, I don't just pray, thank you, God, or asking for God. I'm real specific with God. We have a real in-depth relationship. I'm like, God, I need answers. So I pray from a place of asking for answers, listening, hearing, because sometimes we don't hear the divine wisdom, or we turn off that answer, and then I take inspired action. So I started praying early in November, and I'm like, so God, what are we going to do about this December? Because there are bills to pay. Just because I don't have money doesn't mean. And one of the things I learned from my book was I used to think that you needed to work hard, sacrifice, suffer, be in pain to make money. I don't know why I got that. Puritan work ethic, right? No pain, no gain, put the axe to the grindstone. And I was sharing this with my brother too. It's not about getting more jobs. It's just about aligning with your unique talents, skills, and abilities and being abundantly paid to do what you love.
Yes.
You could do one job, you could do no job. And so I had to let go and surrender the idea that I had to work harder to make more money. Because when I worked harder, and this is what the beginning of the book is about, I burned out. And this is about success without compromising your health and well-being. Success with ease and grace, right? So I'm surrendering, asking God, listening, and God said something. We talk. When I say we talk, I get answers really specific. We were talking, and God said, why do you think that you need more work in December to get more money? I was like, because that was my old limiting belief. He's like, oh, but you turned it over to me. You're resting in me. There's unlimited possibilities. God said, what about getting booked for a paid speaking engagement next year, but getting a deposit now? How would that work? I'm like, sounds good. Put that order. I'm like, that sounds really good, actually. Then I can relax, spend more time with my family. I say, I'll put that order into the universe. Doesn't that sound, from the conscious mind, from the ego, like unreasonable, right? But that's what unlimited possibilities is. That's the mediocrity that is always going to challenge excellence. When we're living from the world of miracles, it may seem unreasonable to have that remission from cancer, whole, perfect, and complete. It may seem unreasonable to have that debt completely gone. It may seem unreasonable to have harmony and peace in that relationship that was always a challenge. But that's where we're living in. And so I just put that in my mind. And whatever we put in our mind, it's kind of, our mind is like Google. Whatever we type into it is what we start seeing. And one of, the Esther Hicks and Abraham teachings always teach me, wouldn't it be nice if? So I just kept saying, wouldn't it be nice if I just got an amazing speaking gig, right? So the other day, I had a little event. When I say little, there was like one person registered. And my ego was like, what? Deborah Deras. Only one person for my class. And God's like, Lego your ego, girl. You better just show up. I'm giving you opportunities. Because in life we get opportunities and we have to show up and let go of our ego and what we think it should look like. So God said, show up. And in preparing for that workshop, I did a little video and I put it up on Facebook. And this woman saw the video on Facebook. And she said, Deborah, I think that you are a fantastic speaker. I would like to be a manager, but I'm going to triple the fees that you're charging in order for them to even consider you. So I'm going to triple the fees that you're charging you, and we are going to submit a proposal for you on Monday. Monday meaning tomorrow. And the fee that she tripled it, and the amount that the proposal is, at one point in my life, was half a salary for a year. And this is for like a 2-day event. Is that unrealistic? Is that an unlimited possibility? And she said, because I saw you on the video and I could tell by your consciousness where you're coming from. And I was like, what? You can tell that on Facebook, right? And so we're doing today, we're finishing the proposal, doing the deal. And, and that could be, wouldn't it be nice if within a week to have 50% deposit, which is like Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and New Year's, right? It's all that on the bag of chips, avocado included, right? And I'm sharing this with you because everything that I share with you, I practice because I'm a practitioner. I don't have the energy to live in fear anymore. I don't have the energy. And I'm inviting you to join me on this trust program. But the last T in trust, after we do all of the above, is to trust in a divine timing and divine order. Because, okay, we've moved over from ego scarcity. Now we're all about that faith life, right? We're living in trust, but we want it now. We're like, okay, we don't care about how. We're not on ego program. We're on spiritual program, but we want it now. And what we have to realize is that there is a synchronicity in the universe. There is a synchronicity that is alignment. One of the things I did for a year, and I still do periodically, not accidentally, but just synchronistically, is I stop at 11:11 a.m. and 11:11 p.m. every day to align with the divine. I'm not consistent about meditating every day, but every day at 11:11 a.m. and 11:11 p.m., I stop and I align with the divine and just say thank you. I take a breath and I ask God to synchronistically allow the universe to use my divine talents, skills, and abilities to be abundantly paid, to be of service and do what I love. And that's what I'm inviting you to do. That when you trust in a divine order and divine timing, we know that when we're one with the one, get it? 11:11, one with the one. When we're one with the one, we're infinite. One with the one is not two. One with the one is infinite. And when we're operating at a place of miracles and quantum results that are instantly now, we have to align. Alignment is not an option. As practitioners, alignment is what allows us to see from insight rather from eyesight, but we have to trust. So what we're going to do right now is I am going to do the most transformational power prayer you've ever had in your life. No pressure, right? And we are going to embody and infuse all of these principles into your consciousness so that when you leave here, you are on the new upgraded operating system of TRUST 1.1, okay? You guys ready? Okay, let's close our eyes and take a breath. Breathe in. And so how grateful we are right here, right now, not just on Thanksgiving, but every day we wake up, not saying, oh God, but saying, thank you, God, that I'm awake, alive, and aligned. Take a breath. How good it is to feel the breath of God breathing in through you. And knowing that each person here, right now, is turning it over. Any condition, any problem, any seeming challenge that you have going on in your life, right now, I want you to imagine yourself literally turning it over. Maybe it's in the palm of your hand and you're turning your hand over, or it's on a rock and you're turning that over. See yourself turning that over, letting go of the fear, mediocrity, scarcity consciousness, aligning and allowing that trust that all is well. And let's just take a breath now and let go. And just lean back and rest in thee. Rest in God, as we know that God has our back. That every moment of every day, God has our back. That God is conspiring even now, not just for our good, but for our greatness, for our magnificence, for something that's even unrealistic, better than we could ever possibly imagine. And that is the realm of unlimited possibilities. And that is the realm that we are saying yes to. Say yes. Yes. That is the realm that we are saying yes to. Say what? Yes. And saying yes. Stepping into that yes. Living from that yes. Being from that yes. Embodying that yes. We know that it's even better because when two or more are gathered, we are in that infinite genius, superconscious mind potential where all divine order and all divine action is happening. But it only happens when we sweetly surrender. Surrender is not giving up. Surrender is trusting in God. Trusting in the power that is omnipotent, omnipotent, omniactive, that governs all of creation, has our back. That right now, in the sweet surrender, we know that each